everybody placed on Lagos. They met, had their sittings, and a report was written and handed over to the state government. So it's now left for the state government to take it to the next level by studying it, looking at the recommendations. What do we need to do? What did the panel recommend? Who should be paid compensation? Because it must be detailed. Who should receive a compensation? And at times, the panel can also say exactly how much that should be paid as compensation, depending on...
But the thing is, the Lagos State government is quiet on it. No, we haven't heard anything.
No, it all depends on the people who are directly affected. I'm sure you remember the young people also had their lawyers and all kinds of whatever who represented them. Because it's an open panel. The police also had their own representative. In fact, I remember in each of the commission across the state, there were a representative from the police, sitting on the panel. The young people, women, bar association, NMA and all that. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what happened, but there were some states that took proactive measure in terms of implementation.
I think the federal capital also had some bit of closure there. Lagos State is one of those hanging states where we haven't quite heard more.
Why government, should look at finding closures to some of this? It helps to heal this. People who are aggrieved. It also helps to cement government-citizens relationship, because that's about governance is about relationship building. That's exactly what it is. The government provides services and the citizens receive those services, and they also have an obligation to the government. That's how societies all over the world run, and that's how democracy should run.
Well, Federal High Court has asked the police to pay the sum of 10 million naira in damages for harassing, detaining some EndSARS protesters who were commemorating the protest. It's happened in 2020, the 2024 commemoration, and they were detained, held for hours in a police van, and then released. No charges, nothing. If that is not an infringement, I don't know what is. And the court interpreted it as such and said they should be compensated. But you're right, we'll get to see what happens next afterwards. But if you have people in the forefronts like DG Adeyanju and the likes, you should know that we've not heard the last of it. On the composition is done, most definitely. So let's head up to Enugu State. What exactly is going on there? If you look at the papers, the past 2 days, you see headlines like how Enugu's disco data audits led to tariff court. Electricity Act fallout. Genco's discos rage as state begins tariff court. Disco laments as customers resist bill payment after Enugu tariff court. It's quite interesting because it started off with the tariff courts that was coming from Enugu State there. Now, the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributor, ANAD, had threatened to plunge Ban A electricity consumers in Enugu State into darkness if they pay 160 naira per kilowatt hour as the electricity bill, in line with the directive given by the Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission multi-year tariff order. Sunday Oduton gave the warning today in an interview. His threat comes as the Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission, in a recent MYTO, mandated Mainpower, a subsidiary of Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, to reduce its Ban A tariff from 160 kilowatt hour from 209 to 160. Let's go on a quick break.
Back in a moment.
This is not just a debate. It's a battle of...
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
Audio Jungle.
And I can't wait for, these to be brought here in Abuja and say pay less, because Bane is painfully expensive, actually. Well, going back to the story. So the Abuja Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission is the one who gave the directive. They mandated Main Power, a subsidiary of the EEDC, to reduce Ban A tariff from 209 kilowatt hour to 160. The announcement has since generated mixed reactions in the country's electricity market. Otuto urged Ban A electricity consumers not to be carried away by the announcement. Like, do not listen to Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission. They are deceiving you. They emphasize that Bane electricity consumers will begin to experience epileptic power supply if they pay 160 kilowatt per hour tariff, as announced by EERC. That if you're in Band A and you're in Enugu, and they're not asking you to pay 160 naira per kilowatt hour, they're deceiving you. At the end of the day, your light will begin to go off. We're talking about cost recovery. We're talking about not setting us back to those dark old days. Things are better today because of the issue of liquidity. It was bad in those days due to liquidity, he said. Now, it's reported that aside discos, electricity generation companies have also kicked against the Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission's tariff reduction for Ban A customers. The federal government had earlier said it would not recommend Ban A electricity tariff removal for state because it currently grapples to pay electricity debt of over 5 trillion naira. Meanwhile, electricity consumers under the Electricity Consumer Protection Advocacy have raised doubt over the implementation of the EERC's MYTOs on main power at this point in time. But you would ask, how did they arrive at this? I'll go through that, Mr. Ozoemena, before we just bring you in. It's saying that industry source and extended data obtained by, I think the Business Day was the one who did this finding, provide insight into how the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company adopted a data verification approach to electricity tariff, the setting, ultimately arriving at a tariff of 160. And it was something that they also interrogated based on what was put out, what was consumed, and all of that. It was data-based to saying...
Data-driven.
Yeah, data-driven to saying, come on. Solicitor 2I 209. I mean, with all our findings, the appropriate amount to be paid for Ban A having 20 hours, not less than 20 hours of electricity, should be 160 naira kilowatt hour. So, there you have it. Discos Gencos don't listen to EERC. EERC is saying, main power, this is what you do moving forward. So the people definitely want to be on the side of EERC, but nobody wants epileptic power.
I think the issue is that the debate around the power supply in Nigeria is a huge one. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, I mean, on the part of the operators of the system, they try to, they are marketers. So they want to put out their best foot in trying to market their services. But then the citizens who are the receiving end of the services, how do they feel? I'm not sure any of the power distribution companies in Nigeria had asked, have a complaint unit where they collect data from consumers or their customers rather to process and find out how do we improve our service delivery? Because they think we're like we don't have options. So part of the problem, I remember speaking with someone who was at the top level of the electricity, power sector in Nigeria. We had a former schoolmate who had to have conversation about a year or two ago, and he told me, look, the challenge was at the point in time when we privatized the power sector, we had no market. You need to have a market to privatize. So the market was not there. even at the moment, if I ask you who are the players at the Nigeria's electricity, sector, you don't have the big companies there. We just had companies that were, like you could say, XPVs, special purpose vehicles that were quickly put together and they emerged. And that's why, because you need to have some level of technical expertise to be able to run the system. In some of them, for instance, in Yola, they had a declared force majeure several years ago. I think Ibadan, so not one of them in the southwest is already up for sales by AMCON. So it really means that as at a point in time we privatize, we're not ready. That's number one. Then two, the next thing to ask, the overriding policy within the power sector, what drives it? Where does it come from? Is it internally driven, data driven, or is it some policy papers written in Washington, by either World Bank or IMF? That's also very important, because power is such an important infrastructure for any economy. So when you allow someone sitting in the World Bank, at the World Bank office or IMF or anywhere, right, bring in, he has no lived experience of what the average Nigerian who is in Kaura Namoda go through, or the man who is in Daura, what he goes through, or the man at Omahe Beku and all that, or in Oron, because governance, policy making, is a lived experience. It's like somebody say, is there hunger? I mean, the one who is hungry will tell you, look, I'm hungry.
Most deaf.
Yeah, so that's the issue. But I think the approach adopted by Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission, it's what I should encourage every state to do. Find out what is the value of the supply being given to citizens. Is it required? Is it really a brand A premium service? If it's not, then interrogate it. Engage. Incidentally, the amended Power Sector Act 2023 had taken power issues away from the exclusive list and domicile it at a concurrent list. It means the state can legislate as well as the federal government.
The state can legislate. I thought the central regulator still remains the NRC.
No. But it means, because the rules or the directive by Enugu State Electricity Regulator is within the jurisdiction of Enugu State. FCT can have such a regulatory whatever, because the laws that are effective in FCT are made by the National Assembly. And National Assembly set up the National Electricity Regulatory Company, so you can have it in FCT. So, you are saying, can it happen in FCT? So it won't happen. But the point is that states...
No, but interesting thing is that customers in other states and other regions are also saying, if Enugu has slashed Ban A, who are we to pay more here? It should be here, because that's what the ages of the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors are saying.
Enugu is not speaking to Abia. It's not speaking for Imo. It's not speaking for Ogun.
Speaking.
Neither is he speaking for Kaduna or Kanu.
But we're in the same country, and we're all Ban A experienced people. And we're saying if it's happening in Enugu based on data.
They only can make recommendations, take complaints.
I agree.
Within their jurisdiction, which is Enugu State.
So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
However, Kimberly, who stays in Abuja, is saying, Enugu use data to arrive at 160.
Yeah.
Can they do something around that in other areas to see data-driven, if it can be less than what we pay per kilowatt hour?
I think the key challenge is all the whole thing around service delivery. I'm sure when you say we have given it over to private sector, how much does that private sector improve from what perhaps if it was a public sector owned enterprise before now? I mean, what difference does it make? Sometimes it's simply a change in nomenclature, not really a change in service delivery. And that's what has happened over time. But I think National Assembly should be interested, governors should be interested and say, look, how much of power does my citizens get? What they pay currently as rate per kilowatt, is it worth it?
Perhaps it's something that the Minister of Power should have interrogated, because I know he was really speaking more for people who wanted to drive up and say, oh, government is paying so much on subsidy, you guys have to pay more at this point in time. So it didn't feel like there was some empirical evidence to back up the amount. Just pay more. Now, government is not going to pay more for Band A users.
Incidentally, the entire argument about subsidy is rested on policies written by IMF and World Bank. What are they saying? They are saying, look, implement what they call cost-reflective cost.
So does it mean that the government should not be sensitive and empathize with the people who are already burdened with so much, enough to say, all right, what is the most acceptable practical lowest that they can go high up to?
No. If you remember, under Buhari, that argument was there. Ahead of COVID, they thought National Assembly and the executive had two different opinions, whether the tariff should be increased or not. You recall? And National Assembly said, no, we've just come out of COVID. You can't afford to increase it. You remember, there was that public debate then. But what to ask, the simple question to ask is simply this. The people who are telling us cost-reflective tariff, what happens in their country? Because the point is that half of these policies, half of this debate around subsidy, in Europe, in the Americas, across the world, there are subsidies that government gives to their citizens. So, but when it comes to developing countries, they would design these policies and push it down the throat of our leaders. And say, remove this, remove that. As we speak now in Europe, farmers in Europe get subsidize input, subsidize all kinds of whatever. They can call it stimulus, agricultural stimulus, or what have you. But so the point is that in designing policy, the first thing you do, how does it impact on the citizens? That's number one. Number two is, in the long run, how does it impact the market? Because take for instance, Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission have said, look, we took time to collect data, and based on that, that's why we're taking these decisions. But can Enugu Electricity Distribution Company provide their own data and say, look, say in GRA Enugu, this is how many hours we provided light, and this is a cost. They don't have that data. Because when companies don't have data, they don't even collect data, complaint from or process complaint from their customers, even to know how does the customer feel. It's very important. If you use Facebook, for instance, sometimes they will ask you, what do you think about services? How many times has any of the distribution company, have you gotten a test from them and say, please, we understand you are a very reliable customer. Please, can you give us a feedback on maybe about 2, 3, 4 items? It's not there. Because in Nigeria, the service providers feel you have no option. And because
we've actually had very little option.
Because the environment is not competitive. But if you had a developed market, the environment would have been competitive, and you can decide to switch over to another supplier. You have options, and then it's like banks, for instance. Banks would call you and say, come and open. You don't need to even open with money because the environment is competitive. Before now, they will ask you, you must have 100,000 naira before you can open a current account and all that. But now it's competitive. So if we had a power market, that would create competition and that would drive down price. But because the market wasn't there. So, in fact, what you have at the moment, it's not different from when you had NEPA. National Electricity Power Distribution. I don't know whether you think if you ask me, At my age, I know there's simply no difference. It's simply a change in nomenclature. That's my honest view.
Well, the Electricity Act gives room for that bit of competitiveness. If states are going to go into that level of investment, private sector.
No, it's the amendment it's the 2023 amendment
that allows for
it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but before then it wasn't there.
Yeah, but we do have that opportunity right now. Let's see the number of states who are going to, leverage on this act.
No, even do you know how long it took the Aba Power to come on air to energize? Because they had a lot of altercation with Enugu electricity distribution company. Because it means, you are coming to take our customers for several years. And there were litigations. They finally had to settle out of court to be able to energize their processes for their ring-fenced, circuit electricity supply. And so the point is that we need to have a market. For me, my advice would be, government should try to create an enabling environment so that a power sector, market can emerge, and we'll have a competitive environment where all players, all actors would see the customer as a king. But at the moment, the customer is not the king.
Oh, well, we're going to see what happens. Enugu, if the consumers would go ahead and stand their ground, and other states and other regions are also looking at saying, can you carry out that research to know what will be the appropriate amount to pay here? But a lot has been said by our guests. Let's touch on politics a tad before we open up the phone line. Now, it's confirmed that Netawe Yilwada, I hope the T is silent, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, has been elected as the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress. His emergence was formally announced today during the National Executive Committee meeting of the APC in Abuja, where party leaders gathered to chart a new direction ahead of the 2027 general election. Yotwada elevation was adopted as a consensus decision by NEC, a move party leaders described as both pragmatic and symbolic. His emergence comes at a moment when the APC is seeking to consolidate internal cohesion ahead of off-cycle governorship election in Osun State and Anambra. And he succeeded Abdullahi Ganduje, who officially stepped down from the role on the 27th of June. In his stead, Yelwada is seen as a bridge builder with both technocratic acumen and grassroots appeal. Hope Uzodinma, governor of Imo State, moved a motion for his appointment, which was seconded by Tajuddin Abbas, Speaker of the House of Representatives. He is a former governorship candidate in Plateau State, is a respected academic, a professor, and he's long been viewed as a loyal party member, measured in temperament, widely regarded for his policy depth. He's presently the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. And, they also looked at the balance of you have a Christian president, vice president, and then, the party chairman should be Christian, and all of those things that they looked at to emerge at this gentleman. So it'd be nice to see what direction he's going to steer the ship of APC, because it's all about strategizing towards 2027 at this point in time. I'm really too curious. Do you think, aside from mopping up all parties, APC come, you come, soak up. I mean, APC, 2 members shy of getting to third in the Senate. They can pass votes seamlessly if, by some chance, which I know it will happen any minute now, 2 other senators will join the APC. So it's not difficult to do the math at this point in time. If it's like one strategy of the party is to soak up the opposition party, and perhaps, this fear of that party dominance and having one party state, it'd be nice to see what this new chairman's direction will be. Continuing that trajectory, or surprise us with something a bit more ingenious.
For me, in 12 years, APC have had 8 national chairmen. It's number 8. And who knows when number 9 will come out number 10. So that also shows a high turnover of leadership. Yeah, in 12 years. So if you do it on the average, it shows that, each one had less than a year and 2 months.
I don't know Oshomole stayed longer than that.
No, it doesn't, but just on the average. On the average.
Yeah.
So in 12 years, you have 8 chairmen of the party. So what it means is that the party for me, it's a high turnover of leadership, meaning that no chairman of the party had time to consolidate. Because you're talking about leadership at that top level, you're trying to build a party, machinery. There need to be a certain level of stability. For me, that's part of a problem. If you ask me to do a prognosis,
well, they're not going against their own party constitution.
No, for a chairman to emerge, what I had even thought is that they would have waited, go to convention, let it be elected, let a chairman be elected democratically, and that has a way of energizing democracy.
Well, in this case, the previous one resigned.
For instance, no, you can have the deputy chairman for not sitting, who is already sitting in. Part of the for instance, in the Democratic Party in the United States, part of their prognosis, post-election loss prognosis, was that, look, we should have held a proper primaries to replace President Joe Biden when he dropped out of the race. Instead of handpicking two people coming to the room and handpick Vice President Kamala Harris as a candidate of the party. The party members felt, look, these guys sit in Washington and take decision on our behalf. People who want to be our flag bearer should come and campaign, and let's vote for them. Let them test their popularity. So sometimes when this type of decisions are taken, what it means is that somebody somewhere is afraid of going to the field. Because in building vibrant political culture, people should learn how to test the popularity of that candidate, of that leadership. This is your members are going to come to vote. They are the people who are delegates elected at the various primaries who come and vote. And if you watch, part of the problem PDP also had as a party, if you do a prognosis on the challenges facing PDP, is also this idea of imposing leadership. From time to time, you can count the number of PDP national chairmen who emerged through a democratic process. In fact, the last one before the 2023 election was just chosen. And you heard people saying, I chose him, I put him there, and things like that. So it has a way of impacting on democratic culture. The new chairman of PDP is a nice guy, of APC. Invariably, he knows his onions. He's a professor, he's an academic. He would have had his own trouble experience that he will be bringing to the party. Yeah. But also, you also mentioned about the geopolitics of it. The geopolitics of first, the politics of North Central feeling excluded from the activities of at the top level of APC. And someone from North Central, Alhaji Abdullahi Adamu, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, was on the seat, you recall? And he left, and a replacement came from the Northeast. So someone was asking, but if you had removed a national chairman from North Central, why don't you replace him with another national chairman from North Central? When Senator Adams Oshemole left as the national chairman, or when Chief John Oyegun left as the national chairman of the party, he was replaced by someone else who came from his South region. So I think part of the challenges of political parties in Nigeria is that I'm not sure we have made up our mind to build strong political parties. Rather, we have very strong individuals. And that's part of the thing that affects even the practice of democracy. Because if you have parties that are quite strong, that has a way of energizing the democratic culture. If I want to run an election, I should know the first thing I should do is not to meet some top guns in Abuja and I say, please, I'm going to run for Isukwato Munochi Federal Constituency and they will endorse me here. Do you understand? And that endorsement, by the time I get home, I will tell them they have anointed me. That's not. I should go home, acclimatize with the people, and then seek their support so that that emergence comes from there. But you see every politician running down to Abuja to get a state House of Assembly seat, even councillorship seat. If a friend of mine told me someone coming to him from his state to ask him to take him to a party leader for him to become their councillor.
Yeah.
So if that leadership had degenerated to that level, that shows we are not building a political culture. But I think for APC, this could have been an opportunity to have addressed what a lot of people saw as the exclusion of the North Central into the affairs of APC. Let's see how it goes, and let's see how he's able to steer the party to victory, steer the party to unity, and steer the party to stability.
And also, let's see how long he lasts. The job, seeing that you're giving us the average.
Because if we have number 7, we just emerged a couple of weeks ago, and in less than 3 weeks, we now have number 8. But I wish him all the best in his new assignment.
Indeed, all the best in his new assignment. As PDP is telling its members, think twice before you leave. If you have left, come back. You cannot be an hermaphrodite. You cannot belong to 2 places. You cannot be a man and woman at the same time. Be who you will be. Motivational speaker there, telling their members as the party is depleting by the day, thinning out, emptying itself into the ruling party. They're using big words about G State Governor Bala Mohammed as one members of the PDP, I guess, aligning with opposition coalition group and the likes. I thought it was interesting that he said, don't be man and woman at the same time, don't be hermaphrodite. I'm like, dude, you guys need to think properly beyond talk is cheap, man.
No, the Bauchi governor is the current chairman of PDP Governors Forum. So he wouldn't want to see his tribe of PDP deplete.
Sadly, they are depleting really fast.
So that's, I think he should be worried, and he has every right to be worried. But again, the question to ask, how has PDP managed in the last 10 years, since 2015, PDP has degenerated from, they've had how many national chairmen? There was a time.
You're the one who's been counting.
There was a time they ended up in court.
Exactly.
Between Senator Ali Modu Sharif and former Governor Mohamed Mekarfi. And they were in court for almost 2 years before they could find. In fact, PDP was headless at that point in time. So I think the major thing is, part of the reasons why they were unable to manage the party outside power is because of poor political culture. Because if you have a strong political culture, they should have been able to manage whether you are in power or out of power. Because you have a vibrant political culture. Democratic Party is out of power now, but they still have a party. They still run their processes. But in Nigeria, the moment a party is out of power, in fact, from the national chairman to the last person would decamp to the party in power. So that's also part of poor political culture. I think we need to, political actors should begin to look through those processes and say, look, let's build strong political culture.
Indeed. Well, time went by really fast, but we're going to take, even if it's 3 phone calls, call us up quickly. And remember, you don't have 1 minute, 30, 40 seconds to make your contribution. 0700 951 0000 or 0809 59 74869 or 0809 993 0137. You can tweet at Nigeria Info ABJ. Hello. Yes, you're welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Adela Victor from Bisalagi.
Good afternoon, sir.
I don't think Bala Mohammed and his co-travelers can save PDP. PDP will soon die. PDP is on the last spot machine. Very soon that party is going to die. So I want, there's nothing for them in 2027. They should go on holiday. Forget about elections. Maybe they can put their house in order and prepare for 2020 and 2031.
All right, thank you, sir.
Nothing for them.
Thank you very much, sir. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Comrade Salis on the line.
Go ahead, comrade.
Yeah, I'll put my mouth on the APC leader. For me, APC is a different party that come together. And this is when they come together, they are confused because a one man is control the whole party. So when any party that they see one person control the whole party, you see the party will not go anywhere. Because you see, when they are still their leader, they are still there because of their selfish interests. And, corruption is the order of the day on APC. So they believe that when you have money and no person become a leader, they don't want to go to the ground and see that like PDP now is falling because of the same mistake. So the same mistake is going to come to the same APC very soon. You see, they are going to favor of it because they are
all right, sir.
Plan. They're not planned.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Yes, Justice of Peace. I think your guest was talking about, the leadership qualities of PDP. I discovered that party loyalty in a place like Nigeria is out of selfish or what one stands to benefit. Like PDP enjoyed that loyalty, party loyalty when they were in power. Of course, the president can always tell you, hey, resign and I will give you another hey, because you know that things is coming out in other way side. But from the time that they lost the power, nobody is in control of anybody. Everybody is just like looking for way out to make his own breast and get something out of it. So I think, and it's happening in the APC too. You can see very, 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 very soon.
All right, sir.
If power is no longer in their hand, it will be a different story.
All right.
Thank you, Kim, and have a good time.
Thank you very much, Justice of Peace. The Lagos State government also disagreed with the panel's finding that was a massacre at the Lekki toll gate, stating the evidence didn't support the claim of 9 deaths. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu assured Lagosians that his administration remains committed to truth and justice. Someone's quoting an excerpt from a paper for us. Social engineer Comrade Ofodu, I salute you and our guest, my friend Emmanuel Ozoemena. I agree with his analysis on how things should go in the justice system. For many years of observing our justice system, taking cases to court as well, building jurisprudence is so just in theory, not in practice. The senior advocate of the masses, late Gani Fayemi, was in the habit of going to court to test the cases in court for years before he was killed. He died of cancer, or so-called cancer. Since after his death, I have not seen anything in practice to show that our legal system is growing. What I see is a speedy movement backward, possibly because our legal system did not evolve from our core values. We're not making progress in this direction. Good afternoon, Kim. EndSARS was in October 2020. You kept 2024. I said they had a memorial in 2024. Memorial. It was the 2024 one they had that they were picked up, but the main EndSARS happened in 2020. Joe Nwachukwu. And if you don't mind, I can give you the contact of one of the commissioners of Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission who would offer more insight into the issue. Almost definitely, Mr. Fadipe, I will take you up on that. We'll definitely be speaking with them. Thank you very much, sir. As you were doubting whether police will appeal that judgment against them, you're in a country where the guilty will call the police against the innocent just to prove a point. Police would definitely appeal that judgment. I no agree country, says OGB1. And the police brutality in Nigeria has to stop. Arresting people without prosecution is a no-no. If you arrest a citizen, you should be able to take such a person to court for prosecution. Yes, for making an economy work, power is crucial. The people in power should wake up from their slumber and make energy work in Nigeria, says Oludade Abiodun. Dr. Alex Ngariki says, good afternoon to our special guest. Ban A electricity supply my area is a scam. Someone needs to come to our rescue here in Abuja. I'm still trying to understand the electricity supply ban in any way. All right, let's go for the news, and after that, Mr. Ozoemena will give his final thoughts. Stay with us.
This is Nigeria Info.